Good morning, goeiemorgen. Yep, it's that time of the morning again. It's Thursday morning. It's a lovely morning down here in the Bay of Plenty. And this morning, we've got Vanita. Good morning, Vanita.
Good morning, Jan. Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing? I hope you're well. You can't answer, really.
We are all well. It's crazy times we're living in. Immigration has made some changes and some stuff that I don't understand. And I'm not allowed to talk about that. I actually get a lot of people asking me these days. And let me say the last 2 weeks, there's a lot of interest again in people asking us about immigration. I don't know, has that movement happened with you as well?
I suppose a lot of people are now curious, saying, hey, when are the borders opening? Are there jobs available? Can we come over? And so on. And you know what? Unfortunately, Immigration New Zealand are still not looking at employing anybody from overseas unless they're those critical workers and so on. I mean, look, in the last month, in fact, in September, really, they've made like 4 announcements, just on various things and so on. And it's probably a bit tough for people to keep up to date with everything anyway. But I suppose one of the important ones, especially for the South African community, is that visitor visas onshore have been extended for another 5 months, which is a good thing. And that's been a free extension for people. So, you'll get an email. You should get an automatic email. And that's because your visas are expiring around the 25th of, most people, the 25th of September.
So that's taking us to February now, am I right?
It is. And you know what? Because the repatriation flights are so expensive and there's not a lot of flights going out. And I think, the government has to be reasonable and sort of recognize that, it's just unaffordable for a lot of people. So that was the move that they made. The good thing is, though, and I think recently, if you've probably watched the news and so on, the regional or the seasonal, the primary sector for horticulture and viticulture have been saying, we need fruit pickers, we need all these people to come in. And I think the number was something like 14,000 people need to come in, and usually they're coming from the islands and so on. So the latest change this week actually is when immigration have actually said, okay, for those people on those regional seasonal employment or employer visas, they can actually have an extension. So that's the RSE visas. They have an extension so they can go do fruit picking and so on. And
so that's the people that's on a visitor's visa?
No. So I'll talk about that because
okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. Because if you're on a visitor visa, you can actually change to a supplementary seasonal employment visa, which is an SSE visa. So
supplementary seasonal employment visa.
Yes. So it's an SSE. Sorry, I have to look at that word because that's not a word that sticks in my head, So it's an SSE visa that you can apply for, and this is for visitors or visitor visa holders, working holiday visa holders, as well as some work visa holders that have lost their jobs. So you can apply for those jobs or that visa and then actually go fruit picking. The thing is, though, just remember that the RSE work visa holders will get first preference and then the SSE, but they do need 14,000 people, so that's quite a bit of people. And it will be tied to that particular employer or farm, and the fruit picking can start. So that's where that is.
And the realization of this is they are not going to get 14,000 people.
Well, currently they have 11,000 work visa holders in the country. Whether those people actually want to pick up that work or not, that's again the question, right? So, look, they're also looking at unemployed Kiwis taking up those roles as well. But I do know that the whole thing is a lot of Kiwis don't want to go to those regional areas to do fruit picking.
That's right.
And I think
it's tough work.
It is tough work. It's a lot of hours, and I think it pays about $25 an hour. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But, if you think about it, usually for those people who live in the islands, that's pretty good money, That's like, if they had to do a whole season, that's their income for the whole year if they live on the islands.
That's right.
So those are options for those people that are really destitute and are sort of have no way of working and so on, stuck on visitor visas or unemployed. It is an option for you to do, and it's taken you up to until 30th of June 2021. So it's taken you from October to that time. Okay, so
that gives you a bit of a breather financial wise if you are in a bit of a pickle down here.
It does, and I suppose it does give you a breather. It does wait for the borders to open, and at least you're earning some money or trying to find something out. You know, if you tried and, you know, there's just too many people and employers don't want to employ those work visa holders, they can sort of look at that option. I mean, it's not the ideal. It's not really what they want, but it's there, you know.
It's a short-term solution.
It is a short-term solution, and I suppose because the government doesn't want to open up the borders to bring in any of these other people coming in, so that's why they've put this in place.
That's right.
They have mentioned that they are looking for 30 veterinarians, and these are for large, like livestock animals. So those are the people that they will bring in from offshore and process those offshore visas. They are looking at 570 deep water fishing crew. And that's for the fisheries and so on. That's a primary sector. And again, they will process this. But just remember, the employers will have to support these work visa holders coming in from offshore. But it's only going to be about 6 months. So it's a very short-term sort of visa for those people coming in. And
but on the veterinary side, that's a bit of a longer visa. That'll probably be a 3-year visa, 5 years?
Could be. It depends. You know, they say in large livestock, and usually vets come in with degrees and so on. So they are qualified, you know. So it could very well be a longer, like a 3-year work visa. It could very well be.
So there's a bit of a light in the end of the tunnel there.
Yes.
Only in a certain sector, but there is.
Yeah, this is a primary sector, and they are opening up those sectors little by little. So I suppose we've got to take what we get, you know. We can't really expect them to open everything.
We're South Africans, we grab it with both hands if possible.
Look, if you fall in those sectors, you know, absolutely, especially the primary sector. And the last one is they're looking for 210 agricultural and horticultural machine operators. And that's, again, you know, for those primary sectors, for the horticulture, agriculture, viticulture sectors.
But will that be a shorter term visa or what?
Look, they're talking about 6 months, but, you know, hopefully if these people come experienced and so on, after 6 months, hopefully they could extend or do something on that.
That's right.
So that's all taking everybody to the 30th of June, 2021. Okay.
That'll be people like tractor drivers and guys that can do the stuff on the farm.
Pretty much farming. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So look, if you are stuck in South Africa and you have no job, it is an option for you to actually go through those sectors and apply for those roles, you know, and you can come in and earn, at least for 6 months, you can come in and earn some money, you know. That's but just remember, it's only 6 months, you'd have to go back. Okay. Yeah.
Tell me when you're ready to take some questions. If
anytime.
Questions, we can pop them up.
Absolutely. So as they come through, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. Natasha's one of our regulars asking questions. And I think this is a question that everybody's got, and I don't think anybody's got the answer yet.
We don't.
When do they estimate they will open the borders?
We don't. Look, the next change that they made is in October, and that's where they're saying that these are mainly for residents and citizens, okay? So dependent children that are stuck overseas, you know, their partners that are stuck overseas, but they are residents, or they are partners or children of residents or New Zealand citizens. Yeah. They are going to start coming in from October onwards, even Australian residents and citizens where they meet the criteria, as well as visa waived holders as well that can come in. So they are slowly opening it up, but they are doing it in a very controlled manner.
Yeah, it looks like more sector by sector, am I right?
No, this won't be sector by sector. They are related to the New Zealand residents or citizens. Okay. And for instance, like, I'll give you an example. You have a family that are here and they've done their residence application and they've been approved and everything's done. But they've had a dependent child in South Africa, for instance, at university, or just sort of waiting, you know, to and they're included in that application, and have those, you know, have that family, you know, or dependent children or partners can now come in. That's where that's coming in.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to say I've had about 5 families come in the last 4 weeks. That's just clients of mine. So
right.
so glad they can get reunited with each other, because that's
I know
it's be alone here. Eh?
It's a tough one. Look, there are more changes coming through where those residents have been able to, those workers that have been able to keep their jobs and so on. Okay, and now they want their families to be, coming in and reunited. That's coming in slowly. Okay, so just remember, immigration is going to ask you for probably more medicals, because especially in South Africa, it's a high TB risk. So you are expected to do chest X-rays again, unfortunately, because that hasn't been processed. And they will ask for updated relationship evidence and things, but those are coming in slowly. So from October onwards, we'll probably see those come through. You still
Question from Richard asking,
yes,
when do you think, and that's you, Vanita, when do you think one could start applying for employment in New Zealand?
It's really only when the government says we are processing offshore applications. And right now they're not. They're not, unless these are critical workers on critical projects. So those are supported by employers. I think the employers are paying about $445 to support that application, and it's going through the exemption process, really. So it's very select few, and they have to be extremely skilled, highly technically, skills that we can't really get in New Zealand that are offshore. So that's where that's happening. So unfortunately, I think once they ascertain where the unemployment is and so on, they'll go from there, as to when they'll open up those borders. Yes, that was something I was going to talk about with the EOI.
That's a big question these days.
Look, the draws they are planning to open that after, or I should say they said October, and I think October was a 3-month cutoff. But if you think about it, the reality is they'll wait for elections. Once elections happens and whatever else and all that drama, then they'll probably open the draws up. And that's when the draws open, that's when your 6 months starts counting for being in the pool. But expect changes.
That's interesting. So if you have been, if you went into the expression of interest 4 months ago, that didn't count towards the 6 months. Period.
That's right. Yes. So I think I made a statement previously where I said, the pool's only for 6 months, but when the draw is closed, that just sits in there. There's no expiry date or anything. Once draws open, that's when your 6 months starts counting and ticking along. Look, my personal feeling is expect changes to that. Probably the points. Probably the way they're assessing it and so on. Expect some changes coming through, okay? But I don't know what that's going to look like, because to be honest, the way immigration have announced changes, we know when you guys know, unfortunately, we do not have a heads up. So that's it, yeah.
Sadly enough, I mean, I wish you had the crystal ball there with immigration that can help some more people.
We've all sort of, it's always been the case where, they announce when they release that information and it's public knowledge to everybody, including licensed advisors. So we don't have a privilege sort of, where we know a day before whatever to prepare for questions or whatever. We just know when it's announced. Yeah. So do we have any questions coming through?
There's a new one popping up. There is a threshold for those skilled workers, specialized exemptions at the moment. What is the pay rate per hour?
There is no pay rate. They're actually only going on highly skilled skills that you really can't find in New Zealand that are rare. That's what they're going on. They're not going on pay rate. But usually, when you're looking at those highly skilled, specialized people coming in, you are looking at people earning 106K and above per annum. Okay, and that's about $51 per hour. That's really what.
So that's $51 an hour, or 106,000 per year.
Per year, that's right. Yes, and usually the people that are coming in are well above the 106. They're like on 160, 180K.
That's right.
They're very specialized, and companies do need to prove why they need those people. So there's quite a bit of paperwork that goes into those, and quite a bit involved in those.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Just saying thank you.
That's all right. Just to let you know as well, I suppose a lot of people who have residence applications in, immigration are processing from March 2019 now, and that's a low priority. So with the high
this question then.
There you go. So yeah, okay. So that's a low priority. That's where they're sitting at. March 2019 is where they're taking applications from. And you will probably find that a lot of case officers are now asking for updated information on employment, updated information on relationships, and so on. So if you want to get prepared for that, I would say keep making sure that you're updating all your documents that you have submitted so that when they ask, you can actually just send everything through. Okay.
What about the non-priority applications? Where are they with
that? That's the
that?
non-priority, March 2019.
Oh, okay. So that's non-priority.
Yeah, so the priority, they're actually pretty on top of it. So when you actually lodge the priority and you escalate it and say this is a priority application, they're actually being assigned case officers probably within about a month and a half, which is really quick from lodgement.
Yeah.
And processing is happening. If everything's there and it's satisfying all the requirements, processing is in about 5 months or so. That's where it is. So that's when residence is granted. And I think like the last time, this was probably about a month to 2 months ago, they had 775 applications in the priority queue. So it's quite low. So yeah, so like they're processing quite quickly and asking for information.
Good question this. We received our work visas March before lockdown, but couldn't get to New Zealand yet. The 3 months we had to get to NZ has expired. What will happen now?
We're waiting. We're waiting for immigration to decide what they're going to do. Are they going to extend those? You know, will they do that automatically? Or what are these people going to do? Because there's a lot of people that have visas granted that expired, you know, and we don't know, unfortunately.
Yeah.
On the residence from work applications, there are some changes. Well, we're noticing some requirements coming through from immigration, and that's from the partners. Usually partners did not have to do an English language test on the residence from work. It was never a requirement. But now immigration are coming back saying, can you provide us information about the partners? Can you provide employment details, you know, New Zealand employment? Because usually you'd provide a letter saying the partner meets the English language requirements because they're working in New Zealand and so on. And now case officers are asking, can we have their employment contract? Can we have their IRD records and so on? So my feeling is that they are going to start enforcing English language tests for partners and dependent children 16 years and over. So be prepared for that. They cost $400 per person, and be prepared that that's coming. It's not a new change. They're just now enforcing everything the way they should be.
Basically, I don't think it's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing because we've got away.
English in the country mostly.
Yes, we've got away with partners from a long time avoiding those tests, but it looks like they're doing that now. Okay.
Right. Another question coming in.
We received.
Sorry, we did that one.
No. Okay.
And let me take this one. Asking about if the new Prime Minister should come in, and it's not just Jacinda's Labour government. Will they change the visas again?
My feeling is, and I'll make a disclaimer, I say it's my feeling. Look, the program that they're on with regards to, scrapping all the visa categories and having employers get accreditation by June next year, my feeling is it will still carry on because this was started by National before Labour came in, and it's a program that they would probably still carry on. There's a lot of work that's involved in it, and they've done a lot of work. So I think that the policy will still stay as is. But with regards to migrants coming in, maybe a new government will probably look. If National comes in, they've never been anti-migrants. Labour has,
Labour has always been.
Yeah, but I think, the reality is no matter what government, they do need to ascertain where the unemployment is and take care of their people first before they start bringing in overseas workers.
I fully understand that, but on the flip side, I see there's a lot of industries now that are beginning to moan and say we cannot do without the immigrants.
That's right.
Down here. We're not making money. We need people from offshore.
Yeah, and I think, like if you listen to the debate the other day, Labour's all about getting our people trained up in apprenticeships and everything else. So they're pretty much buying time. That's what they are doing. And that's why a lot of the visas have been extended or going to be extended to January 2022. okay? And that's just to backfill all the positions that the New Zealanders cannot fill. And they're hoping that in the next 6 months, 6 to 8 months, these apprenticeships and these people in the apprenticeships are going to be trained to be doing these jobs. Reality is that's not, you know, small businesses need people that are skilled already, that have 5 to 10 years work experience.
That's right.
They don't want new people. But you know what, the government, look, sorry, I won't say anything. To be honest.
Go there, but the reality is, if you need to train somebody in a specialized field, it's not going to happen overnight. And
No.
it's as if government doesn't understand this. So you're going to train somebody up who knows theoretically how to do the job, but has never done it before. And this will take you basically a year or 2 years.
Yeah,
so you're sitting with somebody who's got all the knowledge here, but has never done it with his hands.
Yeah.
Now to get that person out in the field, I mean, you're talking 3-4 years down the line. And then he suddenly realizes this is not for him.
Yeah, and it's absolutely, look, it's a lot of people, and a lot of people feel that way, especially business owners. And the thing is, though, like with trades, yes, you probably find that a lot of New Zealanders will be able to fill those roles, but those specialized skills, they will still be looking for migrants. It's just a matter of when they're going to start doing that and saying, look, or realizing we do need them. We need to build the economy again, you know, and we need to move forward. Yeah.
Interesting from Leonie saying, we saw that the financial budget, the Treasury is optimistic to say the borders will open January 2022. I think it's an optimistic thing to say that at that stage it will be open. So
yeah, well, the government's preparing for January 2022 anyway. You know, when they actually go in, okay, now we're going to let people go, and then we're going to have probably people coming in. So maybe about right, but I don't know. It's like, how long's a piece of string? You know, you don't know.
And then there's no quick, easy fix for that.
No.
Somebody asking that they have a brother in New Zealand with New Zealand citizenship, will that be an advantage to us to immigrate as well?
Unfortunately not, because we've done away with those, you know, sibling points and so on quite a while ago. So no, it's not going to help you.
Question: do you think teachers will be prioritized for essential skill visas anytime soon?
I don't know, because, you know, with our lockdowns and so on, we've had online schooling and so on. And obviously being offshore, it's a bit tricky. I would say that, look, prepare, get all your registration, get everything done. Okay, there's no harm in doing that while you're still put in South Africa, or you're staying in South Africa and teaching in South Africa. And maybe next year, when you know, schools are hiring again, you may find that, hey, I'm ready to come, and those may be prioritized then, you know, for people to come in. Yeah.
And let's hope they prioritize a bit more than just vets at the end of the day.
I know. Yeah.
I think that they're just putting their feelers out there to see.
They just, it's almost like they've been very conservative, and I think the Labour government is very conservative. They will only open bits at a time. They won't do a massive.
Next month we're going to vote for them or against them, and
well,
I don't want to put the foot wrong now.
The debate was interesting, Jan. Very interesting.
It really was. Some people were left without words there. So
yes, yes.
Yeah. And some of the comments actually reminded me of back home. So we are going to do this. We had 3 years we didn't do it, but we are going to do this.
Yeah, and it's like, no, not going to happen.
So a question from Natasha: diesel mechanic, will that be a priority profession?
Look, I think there's always been talk about the long-term skills. You know, to be honest, every year in February, the long-term skills shortage list, there's always like a whole consultation process that goes on before that. And in February, the long-term skills shortage list is always updated, and it never happened this year. So with the diesel mechanics, they've always been on the long-term skills shortage list, and they still are. However, that may change. We don't know. And those lists were supposed to disappear along with all the visa categories, you know, next year, June 2021. We really don't know. Sorry, Natasha, I can't give you an answer.
Quick question about the essential workers. What type of jobs are all of these? If you have
the critical workers, let's just say that, there's a list of projects, and there are high list projects, like, for instance, like, if I can remember, it's the building of the hospitals, the construction, the Kiwi Rail. There's a long list of projects in there. And in those projects, those people need to be involved in that. So, and they need to be really critical. So either they're going to be getting 6-month visas or they're going to be getting longer visas. It really depends on the projects that they're working on and and the time critical factors and so on of it. Just coming back to, is there any other questions? Because I'll talk about these.
That's all currently. So if anybody's got any more questions out there, now's the time probably to ask them.
That's okay. So we're still doing the border exemption process, okay? And I know, and it costs $45 for an individual to sort of put that border exemption through. A lot of those are going through mainly on humanitarian reasons rather than, I mean, I suppose the people that have had partners and so on have already brought their partners back in, you know, and they were able to do that. So the humanitarian reasons obviously is a very, very high threshold, and it's based pretty much on very exceptional circumstances. So with immigration's webinar that we had about 2 weeks ago, they mentioned exceptional circumstances are not deaths and births, because that's just unfortunately the natural course of life. Okay.
That's right.
Exceptional circumstances are really, for instance, and I'll give you an example. If you have a worker in, like for instance, Jan, you've come in January, okay? You've come in and you're working, and what's happened is you're like, for instance, you're in construction, you're a construction manager, you're earning 180K or whatever, and you expected your family to come through, and that hasn't happened. Now, during that time, you have suffered depression, you've gone through anxiety, you've been hospitalized, you know, and you have no family support at all. Those are the exceptions that they're looking at, you know. So it's really extreme cases. So, you know, for instance, even like if you're terminal, like you've been diagnosed with cancer, you know, or your wife has been diagnosed with cancer and you need her mum to come in to give support to the kids, you know, and yourself, you know, because, you know, those are the things that they're looking at. They're not really looking at births or deaths or anything like that. It has to be truly exceptional.
All right.
And you have to support it by evidence.
Okay. Question for Vanita, for you. Is the mails for extension still on their way?
Yes, and Johan, you know what? I need to follow up on your one. So yes, because I got 3, I think, in the last 2 days, and I know that immigration have been a bit behind on things, but I will follow up on my clients. And Johan, you're on my list this morning to do that. But there have been, to be honest, immigration have been running behind, and we've unfortunately had to field and apologize to clients, saying sorry, you know, we don't know what's going on. And when you call them up, they go, yes, it's coming, you know. So it's like, yeah, but it is coming through.
Any closing statements from you? That's non-political.
No, not really. You know, I really do feel for people, and I am seeing a lot of people going through, you know, it's tough. It really is tough for those people that have no support here. And they're waiting for the family or hoped that their family would be here, and they just can't do anything about it. I really do feel for those people. And, you know, like if you're not in that critical, you know, like if you reach out to those helplines and so on, but if you are really, really struggling, then maybe consider doing those border exemptions. But please know that you need to have evidence, and evidence from places like a hospital, a doctor, you know, depending on where that is, and showing your progression if those, you know, if you've declined because of the lack of support and so on, and that hardship.
All right.
Okay.
I think probably we've answered this question. Can a trade person come to New Zealand? Can a trade person come to New Zealand as a farm operator and find a work in your trade and change the work visa?
No, because you need to prove, and the employer needs to prove that you are a farm operator rather than a trade worker first. So you can't sort of bend the system to your to your will. Yeah.
But we South Africans, we love doing that.
Look, I know Boer maak 'n plan, but
that's a good one.
But they are being seriously very strict on it, and you have to really prove the experience and so on.
All right. Vanita, thank you very much.
No worries.
I'm going to pop you out and then I'll talk to you afterwards again.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jan.
All right. That was Vanita all the way from Auckland. She's our immigration advisor, and I'm not an immigration advisor. I'm a financial advisor. So if you need any help with any of your insurance or life covers, or even moving money from South Africa to New Zealand, get hold of me. Guys and girls, thank you. This was another program for 30 Minutes with Jan. And I got to say thanks to everybody. And until next Thursday or Wednesday evening, if you are in South Africa, stay well.